Thai anti-government activists are back on the streets again tonight. They say they won't let up till Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha resigns. It's the last day of a House censure debate challenging Mr. Prayut over his handling of the pandemic. May Wong joins us live now from Bangkok for more on this. May, neither side seems likely to budge here. Mr. Prayut insisting he's not going to resign. Where does this leave the protesters, though?
The protesters will do what they do best, and that is to continue to gather in such mass gatherings out in the public, because they say whatever happens in Parliament has got nothing to do with them, simply because they don't even trust the parliamentary system. So they will continue to come out and hold gatherings such as this, continue to make speeches on stage, and also to continue to inform and educate the public. Now, more recently, the protest speakers have also concentrated their fight against the COVID-19 mismanagement, as they call it. They have identified the issues, the problems that they call that the government has not been able to solve. For one, they have identified why is the vaccine rollout so slow. That is one. Another complaint, why so few vaccines in terms of limited number of brands of vaccines. Other countries have already moved on and are now considering booster shots, and yet Thailand seems to be behind the curve. At this moment in time, Thailand is still seeing almost on a daily basis more than 10,000 new infections and almost about 200 deaths on a daily basis. And that's the reason why the protesters continue to question Prime Minister Prayut's government and also their policies ahead. Now, remember here that the protesters are not going to let up. In fact, every time the authorities warn them that this is illegal, it somewhat encourages them and motivates them to come out in full force, and also to say that Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha is forcing them out onto the streets because he refused to step down. Obviously, Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha says he's doing the best for the country, the policies are all in line, and also the fact that he's trying his very best to resolve the COVID-19 situation as well as the economy here in Thailand. But the people will have none of that because they just want to see Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha and his government step down.
May, while the protesters continue to have their voices heard right there behind you, a confidence vote, that's scheduled in Parliament tomorrow. What can we expect from that?
Well, not a whole lot. It's almost a foregone conclusion, given the fact that the numbers just don't add up. Let me just give you a simple explanation here. In the lower house of 482 members of parliament that will vote tomorrow on Saturday, Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha and the 5 other targeted ministers in the censure debate only needs at least 242 votes to be able to survive. And from the ruling coalition party side, they easily have almost 280 votes. So it's pretty much a done deal that Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha and the other ministers will continue to survive and remain in their seats. Now, what is interesting is in the last 48 hours, a lot of rumors have been swirling to say that there are internal politicking that's going on, and also perhaps internal maneuvering where some of the ruling coalition party members may betray Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha and vote him out instead. But the Palang Pracharat Party, which is the ruling and the biggest ruling party here in Thailand, says that they are not going to oust Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha. They continue to support him. So there's been a lot of talks going on. Obviously, the results will come out on Saturday where the MPs will vote. But one important point as well, that one of the speakers on stage actually highlighted the fact that there's so many empty seats in Parliament when the streaming is being shown on social media as well as on television. The House sessions almost seem empty. And he questioned if the members of Parliament are not even in the House listening to the evidence presented against the Prime Minister as well as the other ministers targeted, how are the MPs supposed to have informed decision to vote on the outcome of the case? And so this only goes to show you that what the protesters are doing ultimately is just trying to educate the public and also to inform them to say that whatever is going on in the House is actually not going to affect the people, and that they will continue to come out in full force until the Prime Minister steps down. And also the last point is, this is the 4th consecutive day that they're holding the protest. On Saturday, they will up the notch in terms of having another protest to coincide with the results of that vote. So we can expect to see a lot more people coming out together to voice that dissatisfaction with Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha and his government.
The pressure continues for the Prime Minister. May, thank you very much for that. May Wong there in Bangkok.